Hi guys, I'm EVM and welcome back to the channel and to the Peugeot e208, the full electric version of the small French hatchback. Now, can you believe it's been almost a year to the day since I went to France and tested the e2008? Now, obviously it's been a while since that's come out. Due to various things that are going on in the world, it's taken me a while to get hold of this one. But I'll say what I said when I went to France with that. Peugeot, for me personally, because I have had a few Peugeots myself, they're a very mixed bag, I find. They either produce, in small hatchback terms anyway, something that's brilliant and sublime and just one of the best hatchbacks you can buy of the time, or something that's just innately dull and boring and, I know, like designed for people that don't like driving or cars or something like that. So what do we think this is going to be? Is this a dull as dishwater car, or is it going to be a cracking little hatchback? Now, I think given the current situation in the country, I'm going to do the outside filming bits on the drive rather than go somewhere else, even though technically I am working and I could go wherever I want. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of an odd one, but needs must. Okay, now let's have a look around the outside. Now, I'm going to say it from now, please excuse the bins by the way, this is the best looking small hatchback on sale in the UK today. And I don't just mean in EV world, in general. I just think Peugeot have knocked out the park, they're doing really well. It's interesting without being over the top, and I really like it. It's just got enough really cool details, like these lion claw headlights with the fangs going down the side. I should point out that not all of what I'm showing you is standard, by the way. This is the GT spec, so just bear that in mind, both inside and out. The bonnet creases, for example, the way you've just got these cool little shadows coming off it, the bulge in the middle. It's just got, again, it's quite squat, but it's just enough interesting without being over the top. These little kind of flecks of body colour bits on the grille here, which I think are unique to the e208. I think they're all silver on the petrol diesel versions, where it's body colour on the electric version. Again, that's a nice little touch. A little clue that it's electric. You've got some blue sort of greeny flecks in the lion badge there. So that's the only real clue that this is electric. It looks the same as all the petrol and diesel versions. The DRLs / fog lights, as I said before, the fang almost, the lion approach, of course, because it is a Peugeot, again, looks really cool, and I just think it looks really interesting and the best looking car on the market today, especially next to these cool bins. The front Valance or splitter, again, not too over the top, but just gives it a bit of an imposing presence. And yeah, from this angle, I think it looks spot on. But what about round the side? This is where I've got a few things which I'm not so sure of. The rear arch, for example, that's kind of a gloss black approach. I think that's going to it's going to mark very easily. I think it's going to get stone chipped. I'm not sure what that's going to look like in years to come, so I'm not sure about that. It'd be nice to have a different option. You've got some quite nice angular kind of creases in the metalwork, which again, it just makes it look interesting. It's not a standard Euro box. I think that's why I like it. It's not just like an evolution of design. They've taken the lion sort of theme and ran through it with all these kind of mad angles and, you know, like the claw headlights and things like that. Nice little bit along the bottom there. But then we get to this, the charging flap, which I think is a little bit of a forgotten feature. It doesn't kind of match. It doesn't go kind of around the arch. It just looks like a square that's slapped on. Now, I've not unlocked the car, of course, because I'm not prepared in any way. Here we go. Here's the key, just so you've seen it. It just looks a bit like it's been stuck on there. No light either to illuminate this area, so when you're plugging it in at night, you might not be able to see what you're doing. And that is, of course, CCS. It goes up to 100 kilowatts, which is good and better than some of its rivals. Close that. And of course, you've got this little E here, which is the only kind of detail from the side to let you know that this is the electric variant. They've been very careful to kind of hide it, so you don't know you're driving an electric vehicle. Now, from the back, I'm not sure what I feel about this kind of light connecting black band. It'd be nice if it was an option rather than standard on them all. It looks quite good on a lighter coloured car, but on this, I'm not so sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it either. The rear Valance, I quite like that. It looks quite cool. And again, from the back, this is clearly a Peugeot, and I think that's what I like about it. It's not just looking like every other car on the road. You've got the E-badge, of course, to let you know it's the electric, and that's pretty much where it ends from the rear in terms of letting you know which version this is. GT, of course, top spec. Now, unlike the DS3 Crossback E-Tense that puts the button there to open the boot next to the number plate, which is ridiculous and gets dirty, they're put in a much more sensible location here. Let's have a look at the boot now. And you know what? That's a pretty decent sized boot. It's actually a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Just to put it into context, that is about, well, it's a fraction, 20 litres less than the Renault Zoe. And I think in terms of a small hatchback, a family car, small family car anyway, that is perfectly acceptable. And you'd easily get a shop in that, small pram, etc. Perils of filming near your driveway. You just get lots of noisy diesels interrupting your filming. But let's keep going, keep going. 60-40 split in the rear as well for the seats. And again, from the rear, I think this is a good looking car. You know, it's not over the top in terms of its mad angles, its creases. It's just interesting. It's got personality, and that's what a lot of cars, not just electric, but a lot of cars are kind of lacking, really, a bit of personality to them. I think that's the best angle for me. I mean, look at it, way better than its competitors, way. Now let's have a look on the inside now and see if it's as mad in there as it is on the outside. Okay then, let's well, where to start in here? Let's start with the steering wheel. It's two-spoke, clearly. It's quite small, which some people don't like, but I promise you get used to very quickly. It does feel really nice. It's got these nice touches on this top spec, a little kind of GT badge here and the Peugeot circle around there. Well, not circle, but the metallic effect around there. Buttons for various functions I won't bore you with. It does have gloss black, which I'm not a fan of, and of course on the steering wheel that's just going to look really dirty. When we go up here, we have this, it almost looks like a periscope. I want to grab onto it and pull it forward to my face like a virtual reality display. So let me turn the car on, press the brake, there we go. And as I said, it's a 3D display, so it's kind of like a display that's transparent and then another one behind it. And if I press these buttons here, or rather this scroll wheel, you can change what it shows you. So if I click on that, it gives me the energy readings. And again, it's really clear, very, very nice to read at night. Let me put it on driving. Let's see what driving looks like. It's just it's a modern interface, and I think it's probably one of my favourite ones out of all EVs at the moment, to be honest, in terms of the 3D effect does actually work really well. Now, this is the GT, the top spec, so you get a bigger screen, which is optional, again, to bear that in mind. And it's like a floating approach. You know, it's not just stuck on the dashboard like the Zoe is. This has actually got a lot of really cool integration to it. I don't know, it just fits. You know, this bit is bonkers, this bit is bonkers. But this, as far as the touch interface goes, is actually quite responsive. It's quite quick. The navigation is a little bit slow at times, like loading up now. Come on, come on, come on. So I'm not sure if you like it. I personally can use it without having to read a manual or anything, which I always think is the measure of a nice infotainment system. But overall, you know what? I think most people will get along that just fine. Now, we'll get along to this. We've got some actual buttons. Look, if I click on that, it turns the climate control on and off. And these at the top here, the symbols that you can see, if I press on that, it goes to the phone on the touch screen. If I press on that, it goes to the apps. So this is all kind of touch button approach here. And this is the volume control and knob for the for the stereo. And this one has got heated seats, which I strongly recommend. I love heated seats. These, very, very solid. Very stiff. I have absolutely no concerns about build quality in this. This center console, which is quite raised, is all, and I mean all, gloss black. Do designers live in the real world? I mean, seriously, this is going to scratch so easily if you've got a watch on or rings or just kids. And even if it doesn't scratch, you're going to be full of fingerprints. So give us a different option, please, guys. Please don't keep on doing this. It looks good in a brochure, but not in the real world after about a week of usage. You got a USB port there and USB-C port there, so that's good, that's nice and modern. And if I click on that, you have, if I just put it on there, a wireless charging pad, which is quite cool. And this thing here, which I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not, because effectively you can prop your phone up, which means I guess you could use it for sat-nav, but you've got one there, so I'm not sure why you'd want to. It just might be too tempting to read your Instagram and Google notifications, so I'm not sure about that one, but you can just close it away and get rid of it so you're not distracted. Also a bit of closed storage. 12 volt down here with a bit more junk space, as I'd call it, where you can just throw things in. The gear selector, you push that on the side, push it into drive. If you flick it back again, you can put it into B mode, which is a heavier regen, and forwards for reverse, which brings up this low resolution camera for me. It's a bit blocky and a bit 1990s, and you press that, it goes into park. We have an automatic handbrake, of course, electronic handbrake rather, and you can change it into sport mode by pressing that button, or eco mode. Going back here, we do have a bit of storage, and that can come out to give you what is quite deep actually, so that's more junk space. Now the cup holders, my bottle just fits in there. This is a bit wider, so it easily fits in there. But what I find is that when I'm driving, my arm just knocks into the bottles or the cups. So it'd be all right with cups, I suppose, but in terms of bottles, they just get in the way. So I end up throwing my bottle on the seat. And if you push this forward, you can't use them anyway because, this is in the way. You have reasonable door bins. I'm not sure if you can see it there. You can, again, fit like a few things in it. You can fit a bottle in. That's okay. Standard switch gear, nothing special. It's reasonably solid. And then these doors. I mean, the way this sweeps around here and this tactile sort of material, I just think that's awesome. I really like it. You've got this LED strip light that goes all along the cabin and the doors, and at night that looks awesome. A few cheap materials here at the kind of what I'd call the non-touch points, but all the bits you do touch and you might fiddle with are nice and solid, good build quality. That's kind of soft there. This is again nice and soft. It doesn't look like, I don't think you get any rattles there. This again feels nice and solid. This bit I really like. It's like like a soft material. You can kind of push into it a bit. It's like a carbon weave effect. Now, of course, the glove box. Are they doing the French thing? Yay! We've got a comically small glove box that doesn't fit the manual that comes with a car without squishing it in anyway. I mean, no other manufacturers other than French ones do that. Why can't they just put the fuse box somewhere else like everyone else? I think they just do that to annoy us English people. One oddity though is, if I can actually find it, you can't see it. It's just a stupid place to put any sort of switchgear for me. I'm sure there's somewhere else they could have thought about doing it, maybe here like everywhere else. So yeah, for me this would be perfect if you get rid of the gloss black bits. Overall, it's awesome. I really like it. So let's go in the back now to see if that's as cramped as I imagine it is. Now, I said before that this is a very narrow door compared to the front, so let's see if getting into it is as hard. Ooh. Okay, I've put this seat far back for a tall person, a very tall person. I would say someone who's about 6'1" or 2, and well, I literally just fit in this car. It is a very tight squeeze. But again, I have put this really far back, almost as far back as it goes. So you know what? I think if this was in the position that is in terms of for a normal size person, you'd be all right. You're not going on long journeys like most small hatchbacks. But yeah, getting in and out of that door, it is quite narrow. You kind of fall in and out of it rather than get in and out of it. 2 adults for normal, shortish journeys. Kids will be fine. And I suspect most people will be using this with their kids. I don't think you're going to be carrying 4 or even 5 adults in this car very often. Not that I'd want to be an adult in the centre. You do have a little bit of a ridge here. Not a lot of headroom. I mean, I'm far from a tall person, and this bit here, I'm banging my head on. So, if someone goes around the corner too quickly, you're going to go bang, ow. Very thick pillows behind me. So when you are reversing, it could be an issue for some people. Right, let's take this out on the road. I've been driving all week for work, so I've got a very good idea what it's like. So yeah, let me tell you what it's like to drive now. Well, I might as well start at the most important point for most people, the price. Now, the list price is basically between 25 and a bit and just over 30 grand, depending on which spec you choose and how many options, of course. But unlike a lot of EVs like Tesla, Kia, the Ford Mustang Mach-E and other ones like that, you do have a bit of haggle room with Peugeot, and Renault are the same. I've just done 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes of Googling, and I've managed to find the cheapest variant of this with no options, so basically the cheapest one you can buy for just over £24,000. And this one, the GT, but I found that the top spec one effectively with no options for just over £28,000. So once you factor in a bit of discounts, it's actually a very compelling car all of a sudden. The next thing people care about, of course, is range. Well, the WLTP range, or We Like to Party range, is 211 miles. It's not in the real world. For me, you're only going to get that if you, well, drive economically in summer. But it is achievable, I guess, if you really want it to be. I would say that 170 miles in summer sort of time, if you're driving normally, and using things, 170 miles in summer, 140 in winter. Of course, how you drive is the biggest factor, just like it is with miles per gallon in a normal car. That's the biggest deciding factor on how much range you get. But those are the ranges that I would personally use in the real world. Now, speed, I would say it's okay. It's not a hot hatch at all, despite its looks and the fact that this is a GT. All variants have the same battery and speed, effectively, so there's no difference in power, like the Zoe, for example. And it is enough. It's about 135 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 8.1, although I suspect it's a little bit better than that. It does kind of get a little out of breath once you get above 50-ish. It is quiet, a little bit of a whine from the motor, but again, like every electric vehicle, it's quiet. Little bit of wind noise compared to other EVs, but I think anybody that gets in this will go, wow, that's eerie. I do have one little kind of niggle though when it comes to the steering. It's very light. The small steering wheel, again, once you get used to it, is all right. I don't mind that, but it's clearly designed for the city urban environment where, parking and easy turning is more of a priority than handling. Look at this. The car is barely moving from side to side, so it just feels a little bit artificial, a little bit disconnected. Peugeot are very good at doing sporty hot hatches, and for me this is one of those that I think they're missing a major trick, and a lot of other manufacturers as well. Put a more powerful motor in this, sort the suspension out for more sportier suspension, and give us a hot hatch. This would be incredible, certainly in its looks and its performance. If this was the electric equivalent of the 205 GTI or something like that, it would be immense. Going over some big speed bumps here. Comfortable, no problems at all. It's a little stiffer, of course, than the petrol diesel versions because it weighs more. Another speed bump now. Yeah, it's as comfortable, to be honest, over the stuff like that as my Tesla is. Although when it starts to get a bit twisty and if you get a bit of uneven road, bit of undulation, it does seem to upset it a little bit. Okay, let's see what she can do from the standstill. Oh, traction control again. 30, 40, 50, 60. That's what I mean. As soon as you get past 50, it seems to really tail off. Let's do a U-hit. Good turning circle. I like that. Let's go back down here. Whoa, kid, okay, there we go. It is quite bouncy, I have to say. Again, maybe I'm just being a little harsh. It's not really designed for this sort of thing. See, this is why people will choose the electric Mini, for example, over this, even though this has a cheaper price and a much bigger range, and probably an equal in interior. I think they're both good in their own ways, but that is just so much more fun and engaging to drive, whereas this is a bit safe. Yeah, we go. I think I've landed on the correct word. It's a safe setup. I just think that this is, look at the steering wheel. I'm moving a little bit, but not as much as I would expect to be. I'm a bit zigzagging all over the place in a Mini. So I don't know. I could live with this, but I think when you get those nice days, those days when you're on a nice road like these and sun's out and you have a nice drive, not necessarily pushing it to its limits or anything. You're just having a bit of fun. I'm not sure how much fun you'd have in this. I have to say that when you're coming out of certain junctions, these pillars are quite thick. It's a bit wider. You kind of have to do that a little bit sometimes. And as I said earlier on, the rear pillars are very thick, so I think reversing's a bit of a pain if you don't have the camera option. What are the competitors for this car? There's the Zoe, the Corsa E, I guess you could say the Mini. I wouldn't put the Honda E in the same sort of category. I think that's very much a city car, whereas this is more of a family variant of it. But its main rivals, let's face it, are the Corsa and the Zoe. The Corsa is basically the same car underneath. It's just Vauxhall's version of it. So for looks alone, I would pick this over the Corsa any day. Everyone's different, aren't they? You might think the Corsa looks better, but I would say that the vast majority of people would pick this for looks over that one. And the interior as well is just so much more interesting than the Corsa's is. Now the Zoe has I would say about 25 miles-ish real world range more than this. So that's kind of its party piece, is the Zoe, its range. But everything else, the handling, the interior, the looks, and the Zoe's not an ugly car, it's quite a good looking car. How it feels, the little touches, the infotainment system. Basically, in the game of top trumps, the Zoe wins on range, but on everything else, it's this. It literally wipes the floor, for me personally, with the Zoe. The Zoe, let's face it, is an old car that's been facelifted. It's got good range, but that's kind of where it stops. It's got air-cooled batteries. It's got optional charging, CCS charging at 50 kilowatts, whereas this, as standard, will charge at 100 kilowatts. It's got liquid cooling, hence why it can charge it up to 100 if you can find a charger that, of course, matches that, which they're coming, don't get me wrong. So all of a sudden, the extra range that there's always got is negated by the fact that this can charge maybe twice as fast, or way faster if you don't pick the rapid charging option on the Zoe. It's a normal manufacturer bringing a relatively, in EV world anyway, relatively affordable electric car with a good range and just a cracking interior. I can't really fault it beyond a few minor things. Its expectation was middle ground, but it's up here, it's higher, better than I expected, and life's all about expectations. Okay, well, that's pretty much it, really. I like it. What's more to say? If you're thinking about getting one, I can't really give you any red flags to say don't. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, and please do subscribe. It helps me get more press cars like this. Seriously though, joking aside, thanks for watching. Without people subscribing, I wouldn't be doing all this sort of stuff, so I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you soon again. Might even be getting sunshine out now in Yorkshire.